And it's not always the best singer who wins. It's always a mix of whether you sang the song well enough for it to benefit all parties, and what you bring to the table, including your social media clout. And they're mistaken. It's not easy. You have to really, hustle, and you have to stand outside people's offices, and you have to beg them to give you work. And it's not like other organized industries where you can. It's always going to be very difficult for an independent artist to get playback work.
That's
right. I'll tell you why. Number one is that most of the songs that you hear in films, most of them are decided by labels.
Koimoi.com.
Hello and welcome to Koimoi. This is Shubham Kulkarni, and today in conversation with us is a man who wears many hats, by the way, just so you know. He's a singer, he's a composer, he's a trained actor, not many know that. Let's welcome Arjun Kanungo, and he's here. Hey Arjun.
Hey Shubham, nice to meet you. Nice to be on this on Koimoi.
Thank you so much. First of all, tell me, a hit single, or I should say singles. There are fans. There's a film that you're making, say, you're a set debut with it. There's Radhe. Tell me, do you pinch yourself? Have you achieved the dream you had seen years before?
I honestly, I didn't have too many expectations for myself when I started this. I started because I loved it, and it's nice to have so much support. And I come from a family which doesn't have anything to do with the film industry, So it's always been very encouraging to see, this kind of support, and especially with Radhe. And I was very lucky to get the film. So with music, I worked hard, but I've enjoyed every bit of it, and so it's not felt like hard work. So that's I think that's a blessing. That's the true blessing when you do something you really love to do.
That's true.
That's when you feel like it's worth it.
You spoke about you don't have connections, but how has that worked for you? Is it good? Is it bad? How is it?
It depends on how you're asking that question. Like, is it easier with connections? Yes, of course. It's easier to. I think any artist who feels like, or any layperson who feels like it's very easy to break into the industry, they're mistaken. It's not easy. You have to really, hustle, and you have to stand outside people's offices, and you have to beg them to give you work. And it's not like other organized industries where you can, there's a set way to kind of get a job, or you have to really, it's people who can think on their feet and who are confident that they can get through onto the other side. But that's also a blessing in a sense, because you learn how to trust yourself, and you learn how to really own your skills, and make the most of what you have. So I definitely think that there's a bit of both in me. Like I appreciate the fact that I've got what I've got, but it's not been easy for sure.
But I was watching your interview, one of your interviews, and you spoke about a phase when you were stuck in a loop with playback. It was, I guess, 2013 or 2014.
2013.
And you were not getting work, the playback work. Tell me, has that changed? Are there people approaching you more now? And the ones who rejected you then?
It's always going to be very difficult for an independent artist to get playback work.
That's true.
I'll tell you why. Number one is that most of the songs that you hear in films, most of them are decided by labels. They're music labels. Until you're signed to them, or they have a long-term interest in you, which is not just interest as an RE artist or child. How can we monetize this artist is the interest that I'm talking about, right? So unless you are signed to like a label which is making music for films, it's very rare that you will find artists who are singing for them, especially non-film artists. So it's like people form these little camps, like where there's one label which is doing these films, so their artists get film work. Another label is doing this film work, so that their artists get work. So while my prospects have improved greatly since I started, because I started with nothing and now people know me a little bit. Uh,
A lot.
that has, yeah, so they have that has improved my chances.
Yeah.
And I do get a lot more work than I was getting 5 years ago. But it's always going to be difficult for non-film artists to break into that scene.
The economics, the monetization of content. Tell me,
Yeah.
as an artist, does that hamper your art, or any person,
Absolutely.
any artist?
It permeates into every part of what we do. So I would say that the higher the stakes, you know, usually the way it works is the higher the stakes, the more the stakeholders,
Yes.
the more the number of stakeholders. And as soon as the number of stakeholders increase, that's when you have distortion in the art, because there are so many voices. So there are like, मुझे ये चाहिए गाने में, मुझे वो चाहिए गाने में. Everybody has a point of view, you know. So the director wants the song that is best for the film. The label wants the singer who's best for the song. The two might not be the same, you know. And especially with film songs, every song is dubbed by 10, 15 different singers.
Oh yes.
And it's not always the best singer who wins. It's always a mix of whether you sang the song well enough for it to benefit all parties, and what you bring to the table, including your social media clout. And it's like you said, it's rightly said, it's economics.
Koimoi.com